Well, I have finally decided, possibly against my better judgment, to finally learn how to solve the SQUARE-1. It is day 2 of me trying to learn to solve this thing, and over that time, I have done a total of 4 entire solves, which brings the grand total to 5. And it's because 1 year ago, I picked up a SQUARE-1, scrambled it, which by the way, for a beginner, it's extremely hard to do. Found some random tutorial, took an hour to solve it, and then vowed never to touch it again. Okay, I do have fairly good reasons for wanting to learn it again. Firstly, Daily Puzzles sent me a fairly good one. They're an amazing store, by the way. Buy all your cubes there. Secondly, I can currently solve all the WCA puzzles, bar 2, clock, and this guy. And thirdly, because I'm going to be attending a few comps this year, where I'm pretty sure that SQUARE-1 is going to be an event, and I thought, oh, why not? Why not learn how to solve this thing? And I have it listed on my WCA profile. So I'm learning how to solve it using this, which I think is probably my first mistake, but no matter. I mean, it is fairly clear. Step 1 is to turn the scrambled puzzle into a cube shape, and then you, well, from my 3x3 point of view, you do a sort of like OLL to orient the corners, get them in the right positions, and then orient the edges, and then permute the corners, and then permute the edges. So in principle, sort of similar, but here's my beef. Firstly, the notation is completely different from all the other cubic puzzles. It's just numbers. It's a bunch of numbers with slashes and commas. Like, it's not just about solving it, right? Like, I need to memorize it. And when I see those sequence of numbers and moves, I don't have anything to hold on to. With the 3x3, there are like triggers, you know? There is IUR prime U prime, sexy move, inverse sexy, sledgehammer. There are like clusters of moves that you just sort of remember, and it sort of helps you break down long algorithms easier. But for this, it's like 2, 2, 1, 0, 2, and okay, I do see patterns in a bunch of them, like quite a few of the algorithms are palindromic, like they're sort of reversed and the little things here and there, but how do you remember this stuff? Numbers, so many numbers. The second annoying thing is, according to this, right, you get a 6-pointed star on the bottom, and then the top will now be one of these 5 cases, and you apply any of the 5 corresponding algorithms, which will turn this into a cubic shape. Now, when I finish doing that, for example, if I'm trying to like get into my brain, what do you do with an alg? Like, you repeat it, you drill it over and over and over. But I can't drill this alg because once I finish, because it's a shape-shifting puzzle, it then goes into cubic shape. So I can't do it again. I need to like reverse it into this to then practice this. Like I don't get to just repeat and repeat and repeat to drill it in the same way that like if you were learning like an OLL or something, like you can just do it over and over again until it's just drilled in, because this thing does not shape shift and this thing does. I think I'm still in denial that I'm gonna try and memorize how to solve this thing. I think my next step is actually to look online to see if I might find something better than this. And another thing is that you watch videos by like Derpy Cuber, and they're solving this thing in like 10 seconds or 5 seconds and making it look so easy, and it's really, really not. Okay, enough whinging. I am gonna get positive, and this will hopefully be the most negative, I don't know, journal diary entry of my road to solving SQUARE-1. Let's do this. Do you want to know what your boy here just did? You ready? That is a screenshot from my phone because I'm using it to record, but it is my very, very first SQUARE-1 solve ever from memory, like with that scramble and everything. Now, it was a bit of a lucky solve, I guess, like I didn't have any parities, but still, I'm so happy that I was able to do it. I should backtrack a bit and explain how I got here. So it's day 4 of me trying to learn the SQUARE-1, and a bunch of things have happened since the last time. First of all, I found this by Andy Kliss from kungfumanchu.com. That is a great website. And this introduced 3 concepts that were new to me. Firstly, there aren't actually that many algorithms that I need to learn to be able to solve it beginner style. Secondly, I can flip the bottom and top layers so I don't have to memorize algs for the bottom layer. Oh, lifesaver. And finally, this. A little bit confusing when I first saw it, but it sort of introduced the concept that you can actually work your way to that cube shape from that initial like weird shape-shifted shape. It didn't answer all of my questions though, but thankfully that was done by a fellow cuber who can solve the square one and show me a couple of tricks that completely changed everything. Like, it's so much clearer now. All right, let's give this a quick scramble. Ugh. See what I mean about like it's being so hard to just like scramble? Okay, so the first thing he taught me was that I don't have to worry about like, you know, making my way through all these shapes because of this guy. Once I get this, which I know how to solve fairly intuitively to the end, he said that can actually be reached if you just like play around with those small little edges. So we find these little bits, for example, and if we just try and like match them all up. So, so if you keep messing with it, eventually you'll get this, which is what I call the Millennium Falcon shape. So that 6-sided star is naturally at the bottom. Once you've got this Millennium Falcon, then you just do this, and then you make these two shapes sort of go like parallel to each other. Do that, make these go like opposite to each other. Do this, and then once you've got this, most people would know what to do from there. You get the familiar weird shape, and you do that, and it becomes a square. So good! Next step, pretty intuitively, you can get white to the bottom if you just do this. Yep, there you go. And then for this next step, I know an alg that switches like these two with these two, or just that one with this one. So in this case, I'll probably have to do that like twice, which is a bit inconvenient, but oh well. Actually, why not? Let me just show you how this alg works. So these little pieces are counted like 1, and these larger ones are 2. And so the alg goes something like this. So 1 on the bottom layer, which is just that. And then that's called slash. I think of it like an R2 because I still have a cube brain. And then -3 for the top, which is really nice because 3 or -3 is always like a quarter turn, which just makes sense. Again, for my cube brain, it's like, you know, U or U prime. So U prime, that. And then 4, which I just remember as being like that whole clump. So 4 there, and then 1 down here, or -1, but you know, 1 can only go that way, it can't go the other way. That. And then undo both. So 4 there, 1 there. And then 3, which is a U, that. And we're done. Okay, now time to permute the corners. So these two are in place, these two need to be swapped. And these two are in place, and these two need to be swapped. And that's very convenient because it's one of the few that I remember. So if I put the correct ones in the back and the incorrect ones in the front, then it's just this. It's slash or R2. Once again, I'm completely like translating this into like 3x3 notation. So it's like R2 U prime, R2, and then U, D, R2, and then D prime, R2. I know that's not how I should be thinking about it, but hey, it works for me. So now all of the corners have been permuted. Just ignore this, by the way. You can fix that at the very end. And now I think this is double parity. And so what my friend taught me is that you just do this. So like 1, and then like 1, 1. I know I'm missing out like the negatives, but that. And then you 2, and you repeat it. So that. And then this should get rid of parities, and indeed it has. I've now got a U perm up the top and a U perm down the bottom, and that can easily be solved. So for the U perm, I was told, put the bar on the left, and then if it does match up, just leave it as it is, and then you just do a series of like R2s and Ds. That's it. So it's like this: R2, D prime, R2, D, R2, D prime, R2, D, R2. And then you do a 1, and then you repeat the whole process. R2, D prime, R2, D, R2, D prime, D prime, R2, D, and that. And look, it's solved! It's crazy! And then to do the bottom, you bring the bottom layer to the top, which is just like that. And like this. Yep. So now that bottom layer is on the top, and then I just repeat the process. And done. So let's undo some of that stuff. R2, U2, R2. I really shouldn't be calling that. I should be going like 6/6/. But whatever. I solved it! I can solve the square one! Woohoo! It's not as terrible as I thought. Okay, maybe it is. There's a disgusting parity alg that I need to learn. Plus a bunch of other things if I want to speed up. Because I mean, 2 minutes is great, but It would be cool if I can get like, you know, sub 1 before a competition. Anyway, that's today's little update. I do have other things I want to practice as well, but I'm going to try and keep at this. And yeah, eventually hit that sub 1 goal. That'd be so cool if I'm able to get that. Let's just keep going. Okay, day 7 and time for an update on my current SQUARE-1 progress. Yeah, bad joke. So far, it's been pretty good. I haven't given up on SQUARE-1 yet. I haven't been practicing like all day long, maybe about half an hour or so each day. Mostly just like spending the time drilling out and not actually doing solves. Although I have done maybe about 50 or so solves in the last week. Maybe a dozen of them have been timed. And I'm averaging about minute 45, which I'm pretty happy with. Although I should say that like a whole lot of solves that I try and time, I just like DNF because I reach a point where I don't actually know that alg yet and I'll just stop. Especially the parity alg. That is the worst. But yes, stage 1, so that's turning the SQUARE-1 into cubic form. It's a little bit hit or miss. I think about like 75% of the time I manage to do it fairly quickly. And sometimes it just feels like random. I'm just like twisting until I get a familiar shape. Otherwise, this stage is still completely intuitive to me. That I haven't really memorized too many moves yet. In some ways, this is probably the stage that's holding me back the most. I think that's just going to come with more practice. But otherwise, the orienting stage is pretty quick. Those algs are quite short. The permuting stage, a little bit longer, but not too bad. I've learned like maybe 4 or 5 algs for that stage now. But the parity alg, like I said before, oh man. So if you don't know what the parity alg is, all right, let me just show it to you. Okay, so parity is what you get when the cube is pretty much solved, except for these two here. It can happen too when like these two edges are swapped. But yeah, the parity alg is like a cajillion steps long. Okay, probably not, but to me it is. It's really, really nuts. I've gone through this so many times painstakingly, and still like about a third of the time I get it wrong and mess up the entire SQUARE-1 and have to start from scratch. I'm not kidding. It's like the most frustrating thing ever. I've timed myself. The fastest I can do this is like 13 seconds, which is crazy because that's like so much of the solve is just the parity, but that's okay. I mean, it was like that for 4x4 parity, I remember, and I now can do like 4x4 OLL parity in maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 seconons. So I hope to be able to get there finally. All right, I hope I don't mess this up, but I'm gonna show you what what I currently know of the parity alg. So it's this, and then this, and this, and this. Oh, I hope I did that right. And then this. Okay, that's not right. See what I mean? All right, in my defense, I'm looking at this through a screen, but yeah. All right, I just solved the entire thing and got it back to this state. That was not fun, but let's not mess it up this time. Parity mode activated, here we go. This, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Yep, and then this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Yes! And then this is another weird sort of like center slice parity thing, which you can just solve pretty easily like that. Woohoo! Total natural. Alright, so I still obviously have quite a way to go, but I'm sort of enjoying just like taking this a bit of a time and not just like grinding at it non-stop for like an entire day. Just sort of like bits here and there. I think it's making me not get sick of SQUARE-1, and dare I say it, I think I'm starting to like it. Okay, it is day 20, I think. I think it's been about 3 weeks. And in this time, I've been practicing SQUARE-1 maybe about an hour a day. It's definitely become my default puzzle cube that I take out and around with me. And how have I been going? Well, number-wise, I now average about 1:15. My best time, which I just got a few days ago, was a really lucky but beautiful 32-second solve. That was so nice. And what else? I can do the parity alg now in about 5 seconds, probably on average, which I'm really proud of. And my daughter has actually started picking it up herself, just through watching me and everything. She hasn't done too many full solves yet, but otherwise she's starting to get the hang of it too, which is really cool. Can't say I've encountered any like major discoveries since the last update. Like I've learned a few more algs to just speed things up a little bit, but otherwise it's pretty much more of the same of probably what I said the last time. The OLL stage, I'm quite quick at. PLL, yep, pretty quick at that as well. Just trying to learn more finger tricks. But that first stage, getting the SQUARE-1 into a cube, man oh man, that's still like definitely my Achilles heel. That stage still ranges like anywhere between, I don't know, like 5 seconds and like 45 seconds, not kidding.
It's so frustrating when that happens. I have to say, it is by far the least enjoyable part, just because of how inconsistent it is, and because of that, it's just really hard to get regular times. And like, I've tried to look for additional help. Like, I found all these really helpful sites categorizing all the shapes, like, you know, pawn, mushroom, shield, scallop. Like, I'm trying to learn all of these names. But it really feels like the part that's going to take the longest for me to become fluent at. And it's probably why I can't say I'm like 100% enjoying the Square-1 yet. But I think I am like 95%, and that's pretty high. Like, I think I can safely say now that I'm a Square-1 solver, which I guessed would have eventually happened, but never thought it would, if that makes sense. The funny thing is, I remember seeing the goal of like wanting to get a sub-1 official single letter comp, and I honestly think I will be able to get that at the rate I'm going, so I can probably push the bar higher. Like, I reckon it'll be cool if I can aim to get like a sub 45, maybe even a sub 40 second solve, and an official comp. That'd be so cool. Oh, another interesting thing is there actually isn't a lot of options when it comes to like Square-1 hardware. Most people seem to use the X-Men Vault Square-1, but I've been using the Houston Little Magic magnetic Square-1 as well, and sometimes I feel like I actually prefer it to the Vault, even though that one's more expensive. But yeah, I find it pretty curious that there isn't a lot of choice there. Listen to me talking like a Square-1 nerd. What has happened to me? Alright, this isn't an update as much as it is me trying to wrap up, as you can see, because I actually started this project like several months ago, but because of general busyness and then this thing you may have heard of called COVID-19, that just turned everything upside down. I've just started looking through some of my older projects and editing, putting them together, and realized that since that update that you just saw a few seconds ago, I actually haven't really touched Square-1 since then, so it's been like over a month, I think. I actually picked this up before and tried to do the Parity alg and completely forgot how to do it, which is so scary. I'm really praying that it's like muscle memory, it's like riding a bike, it'll come back to me. But yeah, time to wrap this story up. So even though my fingers are a bit forgetful, I still remember what this process was like. And on reflection, I think there are two big takeaways that I have from it. The first one is that the Square-1 isn't actually as hard as I thought. You know all that whinging I did on the first day with like, oh, you know, I can't use R, U, D, F moves. It's all like slash and 2 and 1 and 3. True as that was, initially with trying to get used to it, once you learn an algorithm, muscle memory takes over, and it actually ends up being the same as all the other cubes that I've learned before. The discipline I've had to put into learning all these puzzles in the past, I've been able to apply to this. And I guess what I'm saying is that I think a lot of these skills and the attitude it's actually transferable. It's definitely not like starting from scratch, like, you know, maybe a different category, but yeah, that wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. And the second big takeaway was that it was actually really nice to do something new. And I mean, it's not like I'm getting sick of cubing or anything. Like, I'm so happy to pick up the 3x3 like every single day and do a bunch of solves. But there was something really nice for my fingers and my brain to be learning something new, to be challenged and stretched in a way that I haven't for quite a while, just because of the nature of this puzzle. Like, it was actually quite... the challenge was really enjoyable. I really liked it. Now, from having organized a few competitions, I can say from experience that the Square-1 isn't the most popular event, but I guess if you can take anything away from my Square-1 journey, it's, yeah, give it a try. Yes, you might encounter a lot of frustrations, as you've just seen that I did, but if you've got any experience at all with cubes, you will be able to do it. Like, you totally will. It won't be super easy, but you will, and I think you might enjoy it too. And of course, I must say that I got all of these Square-1s from dailypuzzles.com.au. I know that a bunch of you shopped there already, which I'm really grateful for, but if you haven't before, please check them out. They've got Square-1s, and of course, a whole bunch of other quality cubes as well. And if you use code TINGMAN at the checkout, you'll also get a really sweet discount. Alright, well, if you've watched all the way to the end of this video, you're amazing. Or really bored, or both. But thank you so much for doing that. I hope you enjoyed this different casual vlog journey type video, and I guess I'll see you around. Oh, and not kidding, I've just ordered a Square 2.